is the Will Pond's finally sold. So maybe next year he's already in.
Hey,
Say that every, it's like Monopoly.
yeah, I mean, I get tired of saying there's always next year. That's what I say every year. Hey, Matt, that flag raising tomorrow is actually the budget hearing for the pink.
Yeah.
You gonna come out there? It'll just be a few minutes.
Yeah. I emailed Patty today.
Do we have an agenda for this?
We have one.
Thank you, Penny. I'm sure I had this somewhere. Oh, hi. This is a special meeting of the Flagler Beach City Commission. It is Tuesday, September 29th, 2020 at 1:02 or something like that. We will continue till all items are complete. The purpose of today's meeting is a discussion, and any necessary action regarding procedure for the city manager search. So I'll ask the mayor to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Liz, do we have a process we're going to go through? Or just have Mr. Parker?
I think Mr. Parker is going to do a presentation and just give you an idea of the different options and.
Okay, great. Hi, Ken.
Hi, how are you today, or tonight, whatever it is here? Okay, my name is Ken Parker. I am a senior advisor with the Florida City County Management Association. There are 8 of us within the state of Florida, and we are here to come alongside cities and to assist cities. And I did provide in the memorandum some of the things that we do, and so that you would understand. All of us are volunteers. We are not paid. Kind of just understand that that's what we are. Okay, all of us that are senior advisors are, we are experienced city or county managers. In my case, I was a city manager for more than 35 years, almost 36 years as a city manager. My last city, I was there for 28 and a half years. And that's the kind of experience generally all 8 of us that are senior advisors bring to the table when we come alongside a city commission or city council or town council, town commission, or even a county council. Okay, just kind of some items that you kind of need to understand about us is that we don't charge for our services, but we do ask cities to, if they decide they want to use our services, to reimburse us for our mileage at the IRS rate or whatever the rate is that your city reimburses at. Also, if there are meal expenses, that those are also then reimbursed by the city. And that if there is a requirement, in case if I'm involved, there would not be this requirement. If there's a requirement for an overnight stay, that the city itself make the reservations, the city pay for those, the hotel reservations, and it would not be an expense out of our pocket where we're then asking you to reimburse and all of that. So I just kind of set some of the ground rules and some of the items that of how we operate when we're involved with the city. But I just kind of, that's the sort of the purpose of us, is that we are a partner. We are not a consultant, and I kind of wanted to be sure that you understood that that's not our role. We come alongside of you, we work with your staff, we're partners in whatever is being done, whatever is being developed, and so forth. And I tried to outline that pretty extensively in the memorandum that you provided. Hopefully that memorandum was well-written. Hopefully you didn't find many typo errors. My wife, she reminded me, she said, I am not a secretary, so you've got to do it yourself. And she said, other things is, I don't maintain your calendar either. So from that perspective, that's one of the things I did miss when I went from being a full-time employee of having an administrative assistant that would say, don't forget, you've got a 9 o'clock meeting, and by the way, here's the folder that you need to carry to that 9 o'clock meeting. Okay. So in the memorandum that I also put together some policy questions, and I think really the first policy question that you need to be talking about is whether or not we as senior advisors are the right fit for you and what you hope to achieve and what you hope to accomplish during a search process. Then there are some of the other policy questions that, regardless of whether you use senior advisors or whether you use a search firm or some other process, that you really need to be thinking about is how involved do you want your citizens to be involved in that process? If you want to have a citizens advisory committee that works with you, works with whomever, the consultant, or works with us as senior advisors to do listening sessions with your community about what are the attributes they want in a city manager, or if you want them to be involved in reviewing your resumes and all of that, that's one policy decision. Some cities want that. They want their community to be actively involved in this whole process. There are other councils and commissions who said that's what they elected us to do, and we are very comfortable with us doing those types of things and providing you with that information. But that is a policy decision that, I just want to bring it to your attention because, that may be something y'all need to discuss between yourselves in the item. And then the other item is, and we always point this out, is that is there an internal candidate that, or your interim manager or things of that sort that you are considering to be appointed to the position of city manager? And the reason why we ask that question up front as a policy question is that you're about to enter and have expense by going through the advertisement process, going through the interview process, going through the background check process, all of those items. Plus, it's, you're putting your reputation on the line as well. And so if you're, our thing is when you talk about that, and that doesn't mean that the internal candidate or an internal candidate can apply, but you're not going in with a predisposition that you're just going through the motions of the selection. Okay, and I'm not sure about it. Kind of my feel is that's not what you're doing here, but we did want to point that out. Because when you start spending money, sometimes people begin to question, if you're just going through the motions, why are you spending the money? Then I did outline in here the options that you have available to you, and it is incumbent upon us to at least bring to your attention what are your options as it relates to going through the recruitment process. And you also need to understand what senior advisors' limitations are as you're going through the process if you want us to be your advisors and your partner. Because that's truly what it is, because is that if you're using a nationwide search firm, and by the way, there are 3 that are, their Florida representatives are just down the road. One of them lives in Daytona Beach, one of them lives in the Daytona Beach shores, and the third one lives down in Ponce Inlet. That's their Florida rep, so they all live in Volusia County. So, but, a nationwide search firm is that this is what they do. That's all they do. Okay, we as senior advisors, this is probably way down on our list, but we do it. But they also have knowledge of individuals that may be looking for a position. They have an extensive network of managers. And what they attempt to do is to match up your profile of what you want from a manager to what they know is out there in the marketplace. And so that's what they do. They try to work with you in developing the profile, and then they try to find individuals that meet your profile. That's one option. They also do extensive background work for you. So I just need you, kind of think through, that issue. The second option is that you do it internally with your own people. Now, not many cities choose to do that because there are some, kind of balancing schemes that you need to be thinking about. How much time can you allocate to your existing staff and all of those types of things that are involved in it. The third one is us as senior advisors. Okay, so the process that we go through is very similar to what you would find with a nationwide search firm. Okay, the first thing that I would do is ask you to make that as a policy issue, that if you want us to be your partner, to say we would like the senior advisors to be our partner. Second item is that we would then sit down, we would sit with you, and I provided you with a copy of a questionnaire that we would ask each member of the governing body to complete. That is, trying to develop that profile. The profile is different from what your charter requires or your code of ordinance requires for the manager. These are the things that you want to see in the manager that is above what is required for that individual in your charter. For example, you may say, we want an individual that has experience in a beach type community environment. That's probably not in your charter. Okay, most charters, and I haven't gone through and looked at yours extensively, but most charters are very broad and they don't get into those types of details. You may want a manager that has extensive experience in redevelopment or developing a downtown area or things of that sort. And so those are the types of things when you develop the community profile or the profile, that then is an addition to what you want by what your charter requires of that individual. And the reason those are important is that when the resumes come in, whether you're using a nation search firm or using us, that's going to be the criteria that we're going to be reviewing resumes by. The charter requirement plus the profile. So you're telling us what you want, and then we're trying to the best of our ability, to match up those items. When we bring qualified people to you, is that we want to the best of our ability to try to match up those attributes and your charter requirements. So that's the kind of the outline of your options that I think that are available to you. And again, that's up to you. How do you want to proceed and all of that? Okay, now let me tell you what we will not do. One, we will not do your background work. We will not do that. We don't have that skill available. We don't have those items available to us to do that extensive background work. But let me tell you, background work is extremely important. Okay, extremely important. And I always encourage those that I've worked with, and I've worked with a number of cities, is that one, I always encourage you to go to the highest level of your background check. That is beyond your credit checks. That's beyond certain items like that, the criminal background checks, and your, sexual abuse criteria, all the things that you normally go through, for some of your positions. But this is at the higher level. It's being sure that you verify education. Don't just accept that it's on what's on your resume as fact. Okay, be sure that you look at social media. Be sure you understand what that social media looks like. Be sure that you have done a what I call, even beyond the social media, but a total media search, and so that you understand exactly what the candidate is, what's being said about that candidate in other media types of things. It may be newspapers, it may be television, it may be radio, all of those particular items that are there. It's not that it should disqualify them, but it at least gives you the information that you need when you're making a hiring decision, or at least when you're interviewing that individual, that you can ask the right questions. We also suggest to you that you do, that you look beyond just their statement of employment history. Today, and your city attorney, I would imagine, advises your people to do the same thing that my city attorney advised us to do, is that if you got a call about a reference, it was to give them dates of employment and nothing more. Nothing more. And there's a reason why they do that, is that they don't want you to come back on them and say, well, you told me that, or something like that, and there's some case law out there about that type of item. So most attorneys are saying, okay, don't give them any more information, or just tell them that your personnel files are available, come look at them. And what I will say is that's what we also would recommend to you, is that have someone look at the personnel files of their current employer or their immediate past employer, so that you've got a good understanding what's in that personnel file. And in some cases, it may lead you to want to talk to some other people, and it may do some things like that. So when I talk about going to the higher standard, is that it is more detail than what you may do for your current employee groupings when you're making a hiring decision, out in the remainder of your employee. This probably is the most important decision that a city commission will make, is that who that person is. So you should have as much information about that individual and as possible. Now, does that make sense when we're trying to do that? Okay. We would also suggest to you that you do not interview until you have that report in hand, and that each of you that are a member of the governing body has a full opportunity to review it. And then, okay, that initial group is sort of like the semifinalists. Then, after you've reviewed the background work, then you say, these are the ones we want to interview. So normally we bring to you a listing of somewhere between 5 and 7 individuals. It may be more. But then the final group is that you would do the background work on whatever number you decide that you want to look at. And then the final number of who you interview then is narrowed down based upon that background work. I found some councils that have chosen to not finish their background work before they've interviewed. And then after they've made a hiring decision, they found out that there was something in that background and they had to withdraw their offer because of something they found out in the background. So, but that's a decision of the commission. And I can just give you my opinion of what I think that you should do, but that's still your decision. After that, Okay, and I've kind of tried to outline a calendar for you. And again, that's got to be a flexible calendar because there are certain items that always get involved in calendars, and especially where we are right now at the particular part of the year that we are in. Okay, so as you move into October and November and December, it becomes a little bit more difficult. This year is going to be increasingly more different than what we've ever done, I think, in the past years. But normally, you don't like to be advertising for the position during a holiday period because everybody is looking at something else, including you. Okay, so the period from Thanksgiving through about the first of the year, it is probably a little more problematic. And so kind of what we would look at is that even if we interviewed or if we had all the resumes in, all of that, is that you're probably not going to be interviewing until sometime in January or maybe even as early as February. Just kind of thinking about just the calendar and trying to get everything out there, getting all the background work done and all of that. Just be aware of that. Now, I've worked with cities that the commission says, hey, okay, we want to move it quicker. I've worked with some that says, yeah, okay, that works fine for us. Okay, we've got a great interim manager. We're perfectly happy with that situation. We don't want to hurry in making the decision. So I just kind of laid out the sort of the timelines and things like that for you. Now, understand that if the individual is employed as a city or town manager, most of them in their contracts have a notice provision. They have to provide their existing governing body with notice. The common sort of notice requirement is 60 days. And that usually is because there are things they've got to tie up within their existing city. It allows the commission then to begin to not have to hurry to make the interim manager appointment, gives them some time to think about those items and so forth. So that's kind of, I think I've kind of outlined the memorandum, and I just wanted to be sure that you understood what are sort of the shortfalls of you using us, and it's not a shortfall, it is really just a different approach than you would see with a nationwide search firm. Nationwide search firms do all of the background work, and they do all of those types of things, and you won't see us. The final thing I just kind of want to bring to your attention is that you will not see us making any recommendation concerning any candidate, any single candidate. What we will tell you when we provide you with a list, qualified, not qualified, based upon your criteria. But we will not give you a recommendation about any specific individual that is on either of those lists. That's not what we do. The second item that I just need to bring to your attention is that we will ask every document that we bring forward to before it goes out, that you will adopt that document. For example, once we develop the position profile, we will bring that profile back to the entire governing body and say to you, is this what you told us? Is this what you want in your city manager? And you will either say yes or no. If you say no, then we will have a discussion about what are the areas that we need to refine, what are the things that we need to change, and so forth. The third thing that you will get, that you can expect from me, because we'll give you all of the documents and you will adopt them, they become your documents. They're not my documents, they're your documents. Okay, when staff is developing them and we're developing them together and we give them to you, they're our documents, we bring to you. Once you adopt them, they're your documents. They reflect you. We'll be recommending, but they are yours. The third thing is that I will ask you as a governing body to commit to a process, to follow that process. One of the big ones is that you would not call or speak to any of the candidates during the process. Now, you can go and you can do your research, you can do all of those items. And we will be asking the same thing of the candidates. We would ask you, if you receive a phone call from one of the candidates, to let me know. And then I will contact them and let them know that is not proper. Okay, on the same case, if they get a call from you, then I would ask them to notify me, and then we would notify the total commission that a contact has been made to a specific candidate. Because this is a collective decision of council, not an individual decision of one individual. We want when we're involved, we want the process to be fair, and we want it to be transparent. Okay, and so it's an ethical issue with us to make sure that it's fair and transparent in everything that's being done, because we feel that is just a part of the integrity of local government, is to be that way. So from that, let me just go through some things. This document right here is the manager attributes. We gave it to you in a file. Whether you're doing it with us or you're doing it with a nation search firm or whatever else, they will ask you to complete something very similar to this. But we have found that this is very valuable. And what I would do if you say, Ken, I want the senior advisors to be involved in doing this search for us or helping us do this search, I would ask each of you to fill this out, and then I would ask, Richard over there, to set up individual meetings with individual commissioners, and we would allocate 1 hour per individual commissioner, and we would go over all of the information that you have placed right here so that I've got a clear understanding of what you are looking for when I am writing that particular portion of the job announcement, that profile. And that's what this helps me do, is develop that profile. So that means I will be spending at least 5 hours with you, maybe 6 or 7 hours with you. I would also be meeting with your internal department heads because, see, I will be asking them some very similar questions that I would be asking you. Okay, from their perspective, what are they looking for in a city manager? Okay, because what I always use the example, I said, the governing body anticipates that their manager has the skill set. The skill set. Okay, but what you're looking for is someone that will lead the organization. Think about that. What your department heads are looking for is that they assume also that the person at the top has the skill set. So the things they're going to be talking about a lot of times will not have anything to do with skill set. They will have everything to do about that leadership that they are looking for in their next manager. So it kind of gives us an overall view from governing body standpoint, also the ones that will be supervising, what are they looking for? And because of that, when we put the profile together, if it's done right, you will bring all the things together, and the person that you bring on board will in fact be a good marriage between council, staff, community, and you're wanting the right person. Because Nothing could be worse than having the wrong person. With that, so that's what this one is right here. That's that attribute. The other document I provided to you is, and it was an example of a job announcement that I did with the city of South Daytona. I've done others of these, but it is an example of what would be housed on your website. That's the one from South Daytona. The first part, which describes your community and all of that, we work with your staff to put that together. We work with your staff as they will be responsible for laying it out. The back section of the document, where is the charter requirements, the profile, all of those types of things would be items that I would be working on and all of that. A lot of this is already available on your website and is already available in other documents that you already have. So what I've found is that most cities, initially they think it's a really big task, and then they start sitting down and say, oh, we've got that over here, or the Chamber of Commerce has this information, and they find it begins to be real good. A professional item that's housed on your website is very, very good because it tells your community story. And when an individual is applying for the job, they want to know what your community story is. They want to know about the schools. They want to know about colleges and universities that are nearby. They want to know, the things like that. If they're bringing their family into this community, what can they expect? What are those types of things? And this would be our job announcements. Okay, we'll provide a link. It will not go into the details. It would provide a link back to your own website, and when they click on that link on the job announcements, whether it be from ICMA, FCCMA, Florida League of Cities, or wherever we place the ad, then it will take you back to the city's homepage, and that would be the document that they would see. And then they would make the decision of whether or not to apply. But it is, to me, making it look professional really says volumes about your city, and then how that then helps people make a decision to apply. With that, I'm going to stop and then allow you to ask me questions, or y'all can make comments, or you can tell me to go home.
Well, Debbie, do you have anything?
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Ken, that was terrific information. I just have a couple of questions. You mentioned that the cost of a background check is approximately $2,500 per candidate. I was shocked by that number.
Well, again, that's I've seen these with cities, and again, some cities have chosen to use their own internal resources, or they've asked the sheriff's department to do it.
Okay.
And those costs are different. That is what we've seen with private providers.
Okay.
You may already have a contract with a private provider that is doing background work,
Okay.
and those prices may be different.
Okay.
And also, how extensive amount of travel is involved if you want them to physically look at personnel files,
Okay.
and they are located, let's say, in the state of Washington.
Right.
Okay, it's going to be a lot different cost than if all of your people are within the southeast.
Okay. My next question is nationwide search firms. Do you know approximately what they charge?
We've seen some pricing as much as 20 to 40,000.
Okay.
Now, okay. Again, until you write an RFP and get your proposals in with theirs, and then a lot of them. Okay, let me just say this, and I know each one of the national search firms. I know the major ones.
Okay.
Okay, is that there's also usually what my former mayor used to say. He said, there's the cost and there are the andas.
There you go.
Be sure you understand the andas.
Right. What is your thought on community involvement with citizens, pros and cons to that?
Okay, The last 3 cities I've done, they said, from their perspective, that's what the people of this community elected me to do.
Okay.
I've seen some that have used the citizen group, and they've used them very effectively. But then that really gets back to the appointments that you make to that group as an individual. So sometimes the ones that I've seen that have not been used very well is that they went and appointed someone that has a very special agenda and not necessarily looking at the best for the complete community.
Okay. Would
So
you
be-
work
be
with those
sure.
individuals? Would you work with those individuals? Should
Oh,
we
yes.
decide to go that
We would work
route?
with them. We would sit in the listening sessions. I would sit in the listening session. If you're not comfortable with me, there are others around, other senior advisors
Okay.
and that we could bring in. But yes, we would be there. We would meet with them. We would do some work with them and help training them and some things like that.
Okay, okay, and then just 2 more quick questions. The job announcement that you place, once the candidates come in, you said you've got qualified and not qualified, so you would just present to us the qualified, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I give you the complete list because the decision is really yours.
Okay,
And so, and all that. Now, what's different with the national search firms and what we do, national search firms, the resumes and their letters of interest go to them. In our process, all of them come to you.
okay, that was my next
They go to
question.
your personnel department and all of that.
Okay, so we can vet them as well. Okay, perfect, because we have, I know, at least 1 resume that's come in so far, so we would, okay, great, those are my questions, thank you.
Rick, do you have anything?
So who actually puts the ad together and places the ads?
What we do
We do
is
that, we do that with your guidance.
Here's what we do, okay? Again, the national search firms, that's what they do. They go out there and basically they tell you, okay, here's where we've advertised. In our case, what we'll do is we'll come to you and say, here's what we recommend, okay? And you're going to be bearing the expense, and it's not in the contracts or anything like that buried. So we would be working with your people to make sure that we target it to the right area that you're looking to obtain managers. Okay, now what I will tell you, I don't have an extensive, Rolodex file. They don't have those anymore, the computer file. Okay, those of us that are old enough to remember those on the desk, is that what we would do is that I would notify people that are senior advisors in their particular area and say, hey, I've got this city. Do you know of anyone that may have meet these qualifications and profile? If you do, would you please ask them to apply? That's a lot different than one of the national search firms picking up the phone and calling, hey, Ken, I've got Flagler Beach up and your qualifications and your skill set matches up with them. So there is a slightly different, but we do have an extensive network of senior advisors that we can draw on. But we would recommend to your staff, here are the places that we know get the best results.
Okay, understood. And how long would that search, how long would you expect that search to go on once you get started with it?
Well, I outlined sort of the milestones, and again, those can be moved one way or the other. Normally, the development of the ad, the profile, and all that takes 1 month, maybe as much as 6 weeks, depending upon your schedule, depending on my schedule, and things of that sort. So think about it from that standpoint. The advertisement, we recommend that once the document is agreed upon by the commission, that you advertise for a minimum of 30 days. Okay, we see 30 days being adequate to get a good grouping of applicants. I think in your case, you probably can expect somewhere in the 50 range, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But that's probably a good number to think about, is in that range.
So
Then Then the second portion of that is after those come in, is that normally senior advisors, and there will be a team of senior advisors. It won't be just me. There will be 3 of us, and it will be in an open meeting concept because we're acting on behalf of you. So your staff we would ask your staff to set up a public meeting announced where we would and we would probably do it either by Zoom or by doing something online, and we would then go through and develop what we would send to you as sort of like qualified, non-qualified, and it may even be divided into highly qualified, qualified, and things like that, depending upon what we see in the resumes. And then, so the public will be able to hear all of our discussions. The clerk would be taking minutes of this particular meeting, and then we would come back to you, and that usually happens within about 2 weeks. We usually do that within 2 weeks. And I would work with your staff on how we want to see those documents presented to the senior advisor team. After that, so you would have the list, and then at that point in time, I would be here with you, and you would say, okay, here are the individuals we want to move to the next step. And that would be the ones that then, the very next day, we would ask that you would send out a letter, which the applicants would sign. It would be a release, whereby you then can do the background study, the background work. They've given you permission to look at their social media pages. They've given you permission to talk with their current employer and look at their personnel files. They've given you permission to do, all the background work that you need to do. Their criminal, their credit checks, all of that. So that's that formal release which your city attorney normally, would provide.
And that would be once you narrow the pool down
Yeah, to the
considerably.
group, to what I call the semifinalists.
And typically, how large is that group?
Okay, normally, it depends upon how you want to handle it. If you have it, and we've seen some that have been done within 3 weeks. I've seen some that have taken six weeks. Again, it depends upon who you decide you want to do the background work. Because, if you've already got a firm on board that's doing background work for you right now, or you choose to do that internally, it probably goes faster than if you're going to go outside and you have to advertise, which if you decide to do that, then you've got to kind of slot yourself into their workload.
So would you suggest that the profile be put together prior to developing the ad?
Yes, I do.
That would
And
help.
that's what I would
develop
sit
that,
down
correct?
with you, and because that's got to go in the ad.
And how soon could something like that get started? As soon as we
You-
fill out these
first
papers and
thing
hand
you've
to
got
you.
to tell me is, you want senior advisors to do it.
All right, understood.
Okay, and then normally I ask the governing body to sit down and tell me, is that, when can you get it finished? Now, let me just say this. Just finished working with one, and we set out that we wanted all the documents, these documents, back to the manager, their interim manager, within 1 week. We found out that was unrealistic. Because only one of their commissioners turned their document in within that 1 week period.
I got mine.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that depends on you, because I don't control you. Okay, but we set up a meeting 10 days after the council said they wanted us involved, and I came in and we spent 1 full day with their governing body going over this document, and then 2 weeks later, I brought back the profile, all of that. Now, so since I'm a volunteer, you got to also understand, my wife also has things on her calendar.
We already know about that. We already know about that.
Right, so.
Thursday be the day, isn't
Yeah,
it?
but normally, in this case, I would still see, if y'all said today, go, by the end of October, we would have met with you, we would develop your profile, we would have developed the ad, and by November 1st, you should be able to advertise.
Okay, but then we get into that window of holidays.
Holidays.
Yeah, well, I think if we're, if we're in front of December 1st on the advertisement side,
Okay,
okay, we're going to be okay.
all right.
But we're probably not going to get all of your documents, because of the Christmas period, and all of that. It's going to be a little more problematic. That's why I said, if we can get your semifinalist list by December the 15th, then you could get your background work done. And that's why I said it's going to be
On those.
January, late January or February before you're going to do interviews.
Okay. The ICMA and FCCMA, that's part of these, what are those acronyms?
Okay, FCCMA means Florida City County Management Association.
Okay,
ICMA is the International City County Management Association. It's the professional organization of city and county managers.
well, how critical do you think that membership, that they be members of them? I mean, is that really a big deal, or
Well, you
not
would think
knowing,
you
not
want
being
them
through,
to-
having been through this before? I mean, that's
Well,
a good
You're
question,
asking
I think.
You're asking a life member of ICMA and a life member of FCCMA to
then,
tell you what I'm thinking.
I'll put high priority on it then, if you can find us somebody to hang out with us for 27
Well,
years.
Let me say this. What you really are wanting someone that will embrace the code of ethics.
Okay. Okay, there was another question in there
Yeah,
about ethics.
there's a question about ethics, and you're wanting an individual that have shown you through some mechanism that
They're
that
steady.
they've embraced these ethics
Okay.
and that they have signed saying, I will abide by these codes. Now, you may only be a member of Florida City County Management Association, not ICMA, but both of them are covered by the same code of ethics.
Okay. All right, that's my questions for now.
Ken?
I think the background is critical, and I think $2,500 is not a lot of money, actually, because some of the agencies I've been involved with, it could be as much as $5,000 to $6,000 for a background investigation, if you're going to do a good one anyway, and I think that's critical. Some of the things I'd like to see as far as the candidates would be highly qualified, minimally qualified, and not qualified, which basically helps to narrow it down significantly, because I think it's just a waste of time to be doing a lot of reading and research on individuals that are just basically meeting the minimal qualifications. The other thing that I'd like to address is when we're looking at the January, maybe end of January timeframe as far as possibly selecting anyone, some of the comments I think that maybe the mayor and others had made is that it's going to be close to the election of new officials. Do we want to wait until that particular process is over, or, I mean, I'm just looking at timelines, there's no real urgency if we're going to be involved with that kind of thing there, if we're going to wait until the March, April timeframe to actually make a selection. So those are the only comments I had, but your information is very helpful, and this document was very, very helpful, so I appreciate it.
Okay, Linda?
Yeah, this is just a staff question. For hiring, does it have to be unanimous? Penny, do you know?
No, off the top of my head, I thought it was at least a majority. I'll pull it up. Hold on.
Majority, okay. And
Linda, could you ask that question again? I didn't hear.
I didn't know per our charter if it had to be unanimous vote or majority, or, I know I don't vote.
Okay.
But I know you guys want my input, so.
Of course we do.
Like, yeah, sure. And also, Chief, I know last time you did the background checks, and It was very, very, very thorough. The chief found things that other people hadn't.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, we found some things that Larry didn't think we would find, but one of the questions that came up was costs. There was an article in the News Journal today that the city of Daytona Beach has hired a firm out of Georgia, just under $24,000. So you're talking about costs, and that doesn't include the estimated $2,200 to $3,200 that the city's going to pay to bring those candidates in. So there's also additional costs. But when we hired Larry, we did the background when, I don't remember if it was a conditional offer, but we didn't do the extensive background until just before he got hired. So,
So that narrows down.
Right.
The expense on.
Right,
Right.
especially if you narrowed it down to 2 or 3
Right,
candidates,
because-
then, rather than every candidate, or 10 or 20 that
right,
come through
Lieutenant
here.
Doyle did the last one for Mr. Newsom, and then Detective Vinci would do, if that's what the board wanted us to do, then it's expensive and it's time-consuming, but if that's where, the board decides to go, then we're more than happy to do the background.
Thank you.
Majority vote.
Majority, okay.
And also, Mr. Parker mentioned the public meetings for his group to review. So if the governor doesn't renew that executive order that allows the Zoom meetings, it would have to be a place where public could attend, whether it's here or some other place. I just have to notice
Right.
it. And
Normally, the way I've done it is that I come in, I'm in the room with the clerk, and then we do teleconferencing with the ones, because they're at other places, but we always have one of our members at the place, so the public, if they want to attend, can attend and hear the whole discussion.
Right. So our equipment works, that they can hear and it's been done. I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Okay, Linda, did you have?
Yeah, no, the timing couldn't be worse, especially with the holidays. I realize that we're not even looking at something till January. And then, as pointed out, there's an election the first weekend and first Tuesday in March. So you would possibly have 2 different elected officials up here, but I also feel, this is just a personal feeling, because I don't get to vote on this anyway. If you wait till after March in an election, and let's say you have a new commissioner to take Commissioner Cooley's place and a new mayor, you're really going to be backing up the system, because that new person, as you well know, has to get acclimated, and then to hire a city manager right off the bat. I would hope that anybody running for those positions would be active in the meetings and know what's going on, and, and it may not be till after March that you can hire somebody, but I think to wait till after the election then we're getting into the
I
summer.
wouldn't defer our search because of the election.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And like I said, you can have citizen input without having a committee. We had a committee one time, and it became very, very political, and the person was hired because that's who this group of citizens wanted more for, I would think, their mayor than a city manager. But yes, to have the citizens here and to give, they can submit questions, or, this is what we think would be important for this city. And let's face it, there are some citizens that don't know the difference between a mayor and a city manager, and they think I should be doing all this, which I don't. So
Why aren't you?
it's the pay, no. I do believe that, the citizens and people will get a hold of you, and we should have open meetings, obviously, for them to not only interview, but to say what they think, they're looking for as well.
If we choose to go this route, I think we could make a statement at a meeting saying that this is what we're working on these profiles. If there's anything specific you want to see in the
Right,
city
yeah.
manager, please get in touch with one of us,
Sure.
or all of us.
Yeah, that's all I have for now. I think it's a great resource to use.
I do
That would be
too.
my vote.
Okay. So I guess the first thing, Ken, was there something more you wanted to add to?
Okay, what you can expect from me is about every 2 weeks to get a detailed memorandum, very similar to what you received from me this time, that explains exactly where we are. I believe in communicating with the governing body to keep them up of what we're doing and where we're headed, so that you have no questions about what we're doing.
That sounds good to me.
Okay, so going back to Ken's memo,
Okay,
I think we dealt with the citizen involvement issue enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you good?
that's-
Okay.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
ask the question. I'm totally fine.
exactly how the
Okay.
mayor laid it out. Sounded,
Okay, okay. So are we in agreement that we will use senior advisors? Or,
Do you need a motion?
probably, I think I'd feel better if we did.
I make a motion that we use senior advisors to assist us with the recruitment of a city manager.
Second.
third,
So by fourth, that's the vote. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So we did that. So we went through the options. So the next thing, Ken, is for us to submit to you our profile questionnaires?
What we would need is that I would get with, I'll work with Richard to, I need those questionnaires, and then I will work through your staff to make sure that we can set up a time where I can come up and sit down with each of you individually and go over your questionnaire. Now, please understand, you're now creating a public record.
okay.
And I know your clerk is going to advise you to be sure that she has a copy of it to retain.
Oh, we
for the
know
pub-
better.
To retain,
She's got us trained very well.
She does.
right. Well, so that would be the next item that would be on my agenda, and so I would need to look at, I'm going to allow them to, I'll tell him what dates I have available, and then he would get with you to find out what dates you have available. I can do mornings, I can do afternoons, I can do afternoons into the evening, and those types of things. The only day, as I told staff, is Thursdays. I cannot do Thursdays, and the reason is I'm involved in a homebound meal ministry at our church, and I go in about 1 o'clock on Thursdays, and we prepare meals, and we deliver them out to individuals that are a member of our congregation and in the community, if we find out there's a need. And then I don't normally finish until somewhere around 6:30 on Thursdays.
Right, that
So
seems
that
like
would
a
be-
reasonable reason not
So
to.
that's the reason why that I can't be here on Thursday.
Right, and Ken, do you like when people put comments in your questionnaire, or is it okay if we just talk through why we rated things? What would
Well-
you prefer?
Prefer is, as much information as you can give me. That includes the comments, because that helps me when I'm reviewing them before I get into my one-on-ones with you. So I don't have to, we don't have to sit there and write comments down during that period. So complete it as much as you can. It just helps us in that discussion.
So what is a reasonable expectation of getting this back to him?
Well, I'm done.
Well, I haven't done the comments. If he thinks we should put a couple comments in,
Liz already has
I
mine.
think I can have it in a day or two with the
It
couple
was a
bullets.
very interesting exercise.
Yes.
It really was.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And by the way, when you get into the one-on-ones, if you've checked that all of these are the attributes that you,
Every single one.
everything is over on that side, I'm going to go in and begin to really question you about, if you had to rank order
Right.
within that grouping, how would you change that profile? Because we're going to try to move into the profile the things that are important, that are critical for your next city manager.
After you meet with all of us to go over these, do you come up like with an average of the 5 or 6?
Yeah. What I would try, okay, I will tell you that what I have found is that there's more commonality than you
Well, I
think
would
going
think
in.
so, yeah.
And that's why when we get into that discussion, if you said they're all over there, I am going to talk to you about, Okay, now let's begin talking about what is the important things, because some of them are more important than others. Even though you want that person to have all those skills, there are certain things that are more important. So
Absolutely.
please go back and look at, if you've completed, please go back and look and make sure that you have thought through which ones are the most important that you want in your job announcement profile. Now, you may keep that questionnaire, and when you're doing your one-on-one interviews with the candidates, when it gets to that point, then you can have that discussion about, maybe the things that are a little bit lesser important, but are still important to you. So, don't get rid of your profile, keep it, because I think those, when we help you develop the questions that you're going to ask during interview, but also that will help you guide you in your individual interviews. And I'll talk to now that you have said that's what you want me to work with you, we will then begin to develop a specific calendar. We'll begin to develop some other items in there that will help you understand how the process that we see working, because I'm going to ask you at the next time I come for you to adopt the process.
Okay, and have we ever had any of our city managers be a member of ICMA and FCCMA?
Say it again.
Have we ever had one of our city managers be a member of
The
FCCMA?
5-year interim that we had prior to city managers ago, Bernie was he a member of both?
He was a member of both.
Yeah.
Okay, and by the way, Bernie is a life member of both now.
Okay, okay.
And I think going back, probably in your history, you had some others, but that's a long time ago.
Bill Veach was.
Bill Veach was?
Nancy
Who?
Chumo? I think Nancy Chumo was.
Oh, I think Nancy was, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't go back before that.
okay, thanks.
Do you have anything you want to talk about? You're good? Okay. Either one of you?
I got a question about his questions. Number 16, says comfortable working in a smaller rural community with a strong
Across
agriculture.
that.
So I just kind of
Okay.
scratched out rural
Yeah, that's what I
community with a strong agricultural base.
Right.
I just scratched those words out and used
That's what I
what was
did.
left.
Yeah, this is a general question.
Yeah,
and
I've
so,
seen that.
you've got to adapt it to your own city. But I wanted you to see, this is the type of questionnaire. So in those cases, just, that's where I would probably put, it's a small beachside community or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
Helps you out with these types of things. Thank you for your confidence in us, and we're going to do our best to get you the best person that will match up with your attributes, your charter, and your community.
Thank you,
Thanks so
Ken.
much, Ken.
Liz, can I give this to you tomorrow? I want to clean one up a bit. A little slow. Yeah, I want to clean
It's fillable on the computer.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
I was just going to.
yeah, I did it, I typed it in and then just emailed it to her.
Mine didn't open up right.
Really?
On the desktop, it didn't.
So, I guess we're not, nobody has any comments, questions, we all know where we're going.
You guys are on first name basis already, right? Okay.
Okay,
I would think that would be important.
absolutely. Okay, motion to adjourn?
Second,
No, I can't make the motion, somebody has to make the motion.
but I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
All right, Ken, thank you so much, you did a great presentation for us.
Now that leave business cards for everybody, so I do have them there if you need them. And I don't mind you calling me at home.
Now that we have adjourned, if I can ask something of the commission, we have an issue at the pier